Hi, this is Brian Icenhower, and I have got with me Brad Baldwin from Dallas, Texas. How you doing, Brad?
I'm doing well, Brian. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Brad and I have had the privilege of working together for over a few years now, for quite some time. He's a good buddy of mine, and I can tell you one of the most talented real estate prospectors that I've ever met, without a doubt. And I've met quite a few. And one of the things I wanted to talk to or talk to Brad about and have you guys learn is how Brad went from almost being a pure prospector. I mean, Brad is one of the best there ever was, and still is. And how he started working a referral-based business to diversify his business generation arm of his business, to make it more balanced, and to develop a COI and cultivate that COI. So, Brad, you want to tell him a little bit about that today?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to.
Well, let's start with when we met. I remember you were selling. I mean, from a prospecting based business, you were selling about 78 homes a year.
Correct. Yes. And
Um,
most of those came from expireds for sale by owners, circle prospecting around just solds, just listed type calls.
right. And for those that don't know, that's he's prospecting, so he's picking up a phone and dialing for dollars for the most part. Those are people he does not know. But there is some advantages to calling those people because those are people that want to sell a home.
Right. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
people that want to sell a home, but I absolutely do not know them. I'm on a
correct.
Mojo three line dialer and just dialing and talking to people.
Right. And a lot of people will have a hard time with that because it feels like a cold call, right? You don't know them at all, so you're calling them in the cold. However, an expired listing is someone who very recently wanted to sell their home, and a FISBO is someone who's actively trying to sell it themselves. So there is motivation there.
Right. It's a warm call. I mean, they at least have the idea of selling.
Right. And you're not having to convince them to sell their home, that's for sure. You're just trying to get them to sell it with you.
Right, to list it with me.
Circle prospecting is a little bit different. That's when we're actually calling around a listing and looking for people that might know someone who are considering to sell their home in the near future.
Right.
And that is to me, that would be the coldest call of the conventional prospecting sources.
It is. It is pretty cold. I mean, you're running through people that have no idea, no intention of selling their home whatsoever. So it's a little bit colder of a call, and it's really not that effective as a call, as an expired or for sale by owner.
Yeah, it definitely has the lowest conversion rate of call to appointment and appointment to contract when compared to the FISBOs and the expireds.
Right.
Agreed. Okay, so you sold 78 homes, and then we started working together, and started cultivating and growing your center of influence, or some people call it a COI or SOI for a sphere of influence.
Right. Correct.
Tell me about that. What we do.
Well, I've been in business for 15 years. I've sold thousands of homes. And the first thing we did is we had to go back and find the people that I sold houses to.
A lot of them too.
Because I'm so used to selling their house and then going on to the next expired listing. What we figured out, Brian, is we were leaving a lot of business on the table by not staying in constant contact with people that know and trust me that I did a good job selling their property. And so what we did is we went back a couple of years, I think maybe even 3 years, and got a list of every house I sold, buyer or seller, and let me see if I've got their phone number for starters. Because if I got their phone number, I'm very comfortable with that.
Right.
And
yeah, we know you're good there.
Yeah, so we just started building a CRM from there.
Right.
Starting with A.
Yeah, if you have a phone number, you can call them and get their email address and their mailing address.
I can get their email address and mailing address if I got their phone number. Now, some people, I didn't have their phone numbers. And, unfortunately, I was a lesson learned.
Right. And I'll tell you, you call them, even though it feels like, wow, I don't want to call them and ask them for their address. It really ends up being a customer service phone call. Like, it's the first time any client has ever heard from their realtor again after a commission check. So you look like a hero.
Yeah, absolutely. And frankly, most of them were happy to hear from me. Hey, Brad, what are you doing? And it was a nice call. It wasn't even the ones that maybe the transaction didn't go so well. They forgot about it. They didn't remember who I am, and we cultivated that relationship again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really perfect time to evidence customer service too. Like, how's the house going? You having any problems with it? Are
And
you
you
planning
probably
on doing anything to it? Could I help with that? Maybe get you a contractor or recommend some of your vendors to go out and give them bids. All helping, all coming from contribution.
yeah, coming from contribution, and they were great calls, and we started from there and built our CRM from that point.
Right. Then you just kind of move into a, hey, by the way, I'm trying to update my client database management system. I want to stay in better touch with you and be able to provide you better customer service going forward. Just kind of make sure I got all your contact information correct. And then
Right.
you just
Yeah.
verify it or ask them for it. And they're usually very happy to give it to you.
Very happy. My script is, I've got a lot of really good things going on now with the real estate market, a lot of great information I'd like to send you. What's the best way to get your hands on this information? Well, why don't you email it to me? Okay. And so I got their email address, and you just kind of go from there, and hey, just want to make sure you are still living in the same house, aren't you? And they usually will laugh, it breaks some tension. And they're like, yes, we are. Okay. Now I got their address, email, made them laugh, kind of, grew a little rapport there, got their phone number. So now I've got a live contact, a live person that's my, want to say COI.
Right. And that's someone you just talked to too. So, I mean, if they bump into anybody looking to sell real estate or they know someone or they're thinking about it, I mean, you're the head, you're the person that pops into mind from that point going forward too.
Sure. Yes. From that point forward, what we did is we sent them a mailer every month, a postcard. We also sent them an email once a month. And the most important part that we found out is you have to make the phone calls. Every quarter, those people get a phone call from me. So they're getting 4 phone calls a year. And after each phone call, a little handwritten note with a couple business cards.
Excellent. So you're staying in contact with these people. I mean, between emails, mailers, phone calls. I mean, you're talking
client parties. I mean, all this stuff that we've done. I mean, I'm talking to these people 40, 50 times a year.
Right. And that honestly,
not talking, but touches,
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. They're seeing Brad Baldwin either by email, mailer, or you're speaking to you, that kind of thing. So what's happening is you're first of mind all the time.
Right.
So yeah, all of a sudden repeat business started to sneak into your production level. And I remember we sourced your business at the end of a year of doing this. And what do we find?
I found that my business went up about 40%. 40% came from my COI. And it went up dramatically, and it was shocking, to be honest with you. I mean, we went from 78 homes to 120 homes. That's 40 homes, and almost all that came from my center of influence.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, there's nothing beats a come list me phone call. Like, hey, will you come?
They're great, because we found out the listing appointments better. Your price point is better. The people know and trust you better. So when you need to get a price reduction or something like that, they just know and trust you, or that they know and trust their friend who knows and trusts you. It's just a much easier way and faster, more efficient way of doing business.
Yeah, your conversion rates are much higher when you go to those appointments.
I mean, you're going to get the listing.
Right, that's true.
Where, you're going to expire, there might be 5 guys there, and you might not get it.
Okay, then I want to flip this, because right when we achieve this and we know we're going to go forward with that COI and now we're going to be able to prospect, you flip the script and you go, you know what, I'm going to move. You lived in Kansas City at the time, and then you moved to Dallas, Texas, where you knew nobody.
Yeah, correct. I'm such a good one. Great thing, that skill is you can literally kick me out of a plane anywhere in the United States or anywhere they speak, and I landed here south of Dallas, southwest of Dallas, and this year I'm on track to do 50 homes.
Yeah, that is awesome. So you've now been in Dallas, closing out a year, looking at 50 homes sold. And now most of that had to be prospecting because you didn't know anybody.
Almost all of it was prospecting because I don't know a single soul. I mean, I know a couple of people that, but that's about it. I mean, all of it was expireds, for sale by owners, circle prospecting, but we changed something this time.
Yes, you did.
When I sold them a home, I'd go to their closing and get their contact information. I've got their email and everything. They get a thank you card after the closing, and they're now in that same system that we're talking about. And in fact, this fall, what I found out is I've gotten about 7 referrals or a repeat customer.
There you
So
go.
those are people that I sold a home to in the spring, and now that I've stayed in contact with them, I'm getting referral business already in my first year.
Yep. And I think you're being purposeful about meeting new people in the local area to add to your COI as well, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Me and my coach worked on this. I joined the Chamber of Commerce and going to chamber events, try to go to 2 a month. Also, small business owners, coming from contribution with them, teaching them some of the things I know about business, maybe would help them out too. And just get on that referral base, hey man, anybody's got a roof problem, you're my guy. But
Right.
that's one thing, and one thing is, if you do know anybody wanting to buy or sell a home, you think of me. Deal?
Right. There you go. So that vendor now, that roofer goes in your database.
Right.
You're
But you got to send in business. You got to
Yeah.
you got to sell enough homes so somebody's roof leaks.
There
So
you go.
can give them business.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Or when you're checking out, we had a huge hailstorm here in May. And I called, I didn't have a whole lot, but I had 15 or 20 people that I've kind of been talking to. Hey, just want to make sure your roof's all right. Do you need a roofer?
There you go.
There was 2 or 3 of them that did. And boy, I call Scott the roofer. Scott, here's a lead for you, bud. Oh, by the way,
Right.
do you know anybody wanting to buy or sell a home here this summer? So it's a great way to make your relationships and your phone calls go better.
And now what's your COI up to after a year there? Because you're being conscious about growing that COI this time as you prospect. So where are you up to now?
Yeah, I'm up to 100.
And do you have any goals with regards to that?
Next year, I want to be 250 strong in my database.
There you go. So we have a purposeful goal set for the number of people in his database. Wants to grow that, so he doesn't have to keep chasing and hunting down all the food he's going to eat going forward. We want some of that just coming back to him by referral too.
Right.
And I think, remember right before you moved, we had this discussion about a business plan for you when you touched down in Dallas. And I want to kind of take this opportunity to explain to everybody out there. There are 2 ends to me of the real estate productivity spectrum. On one end, you have these pure prospectors, right? They're FSBOs, expireds, which is where you were. Circle prospectors. They're calling people they don't know, albeit most of the people they're calling want to sell their house. Then you've got this other end, the referral-based people that cultivate a group of people they know and stay in contact with them, and they have a client database. And usually these 2 people don't like each other's methods at all.
Right. Yeah.
I actually believe tremendously that they should work together just nicely, and that to diversify your business, the fastest way to grow a group of people is to prospect and get new clients and meet new people, and then you add them over here to the database of people which you get bigger returns from.
Right.
And these people will say, well, I don't want to hassle all my friends by shaking them down all the time and always contacting them. And these people will say, oh, I don't want to call all these people I don't know and be a cold calling telemarketer. And both have their merits. But if either of them are feeling that way, they're saying the wrong things on the phone, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be shaking people down for business. We should always be trying to help them and things like that. So there's a lot of misconceptions in there. But to me, we should be doing both, right?
Agreed.
And to me, I look at a real estate agent over the course of time, kind of like the payments on an amortized loan. So if we start out over here in year 1 of an amortized loan, typically you are going to be paying on let's say $1,000 monthly payment. You're going to be spending $999 a month on interest, and only $1 of that payment goes towards your principal. But if you move out to year 30, $1 is all you're going to be paying on interest, and $999 of your payment is going to be going to paying down the principal. And if you go right in the middle of that, it's going to be, roughly 50-50, $500 to principal, $500 to interest. Well, same is true with the real estate agent's productivity. When they first start out and get their license, oftentimes they don't know anybody, or you first move to Dallas, you don't know anybody. So 99% of your business is going to come from prospecting. Where you're not going to know people, and you got to get a database together, and you need to grow that. So you're going to prospect, you're going to FSBO, expired, until you get clients. Gives you time to meet people in the community, to join chambers of commerces or whatever groups and organizations, get your database together and start contacting it. And then after time, that starts rendering returns. You're going to get very little business to start from your COI because no one wants to trust a brand new agent. You may get a couple like friends or family that want to risk their biggest asset in the world on you, but it's tougher. It's tougher at the start.
Exactly.
Then over time, as your database grows and you systematically stay in contact with it continuously, you'll start to get more and more business from your COI calling you, hey, come list my house. Hey, I need to buy a house. So all of a sudden that starts eating into your prospecting business, and you're relying on prospecting less and receiving more from your database.
Right.
And I think that's where you're moving into that place right now in Dallas, because now you're starting to grow that database and more are contacting you. You mentioned the referrals early.
Right.
What ends up happening is towards the end of an agent's career, they're getting so much from that database. If they've stayed in contact with it systematically, like you are currently doing it, if they can continue to do that over time, continue to call them, that doesn't mean just emails,
right,
and stay in contact with them, they will have a very hard time prospecting at all. 99% comes from the referral database because they really can't handle more business. They've got too much coming from the people they already know and have stayed in contact with. The trick is in the middle. If you want to continually grow both your lifestyle and your business, which this I know is where you are right now.
Yes.
You can start getting so much business somewhere in the middle where you stop having time to prospect.
Right. Yes. And I'm there now. Up to the point, this a month of I guess for November 1st. In October, I did 8 deals, which is a lot for somebody that's doing prospecting for 2 or 3 hours a day, lead generating, whatever you want to call it, and trying to take care of the business and go list houses is just getting too much. And this is what happened to me in Kansas City, is the people started slipping through the cracks, and I didn't get their email, and I didn't do this, and I might have given them some bad service, and but I didn't really care because I'm so good at finding new people at the time. I care a great deal now because I know that it's a lot easier. And if you mix the COI and the expired FSBOs, your business doubles. Right. But you can't do it without leverage. So right now I'm in a leverage position where I don't have time to write thank you cards. I don't have time for data entry into my CRM. I don't have time for it. And that's when you want to leverage, when you know that something's slipping away.
And so typically right now, what Brad's thinking about is getting some sort of administrative assistant to help him out with some of that, helping him with the CRM, by the way, which means customer relationship manager. And that is it's a computer program online that manages his emails and his contacts and his mailers out to the people.
Or it could be no cards, how we started out.
Yeah, there we go. That's right. Yeah, exactly. So that's the only way, because a solo agent really only has so much bandwidth. I mean, whether it's 50 units a year or 100 units a year, which is crazy. But over the course of the time, you're not going to be able to prospect anymore if your database is rendering huge results. Right. The only way to push that envelope and go past that is to hire someone. And in theory, you're going to get a lot of lifestyle back from that, where you're getting a little less of a workaholic and more of a balanced life.
And who wins in the end really is the customer, because they're going to get better service. They're going to get a lot better service talking to my administrative assistant than talking to me.
Yeah, if you're trying,
I'm working so hard to sell your house. I just don't have the time to service that listing and that customer how they should. So everybody wins. I win because I'm going to sell more houses. The customer wins because they get better service. And then when they do refer you to a friend, that guy's going to get great service. Now you got 2 people. Then exactly. You got 3, and then you got 6, then you got 12, and it's amazing how fast it snowballs. But the key is, when you get to this point, you have to leverage.
Awesome. That's great. Well, Brad, thank you so much for all your time today and kind of sharing your story with everybody. And it's quite inspirational to see you move and just touch down, and within 12 months, knock out 50 units is absolutely phenomenal. Without really knowing anybody at all. I think a lot can take a lot from that. So appreciate your time today, man.
You bet.
Thanks, Brad. All right. Take care.
Thanks for having me.